Alright. Hi, I'm Chayla with My Make Studio, and today we're going to be talking about the DIY Cupcake Kit. So if the sticker on your box right here does not say DIY Cupcake Kit, no worries, you're just probably looking for another video, so go ahead and head back to our YouTube channel and find the video that's titled the same as whatever sticker is on your My Make Studio box right here. If it does say DIY Cupcake Kit, welcome! This one's going to be super fun. This one is very freeform creativity. I'm more here to guide you and give you some ideas, but it's going to be an awesome time. I'm excited about it. It's art time, you guys. I'm so ready. So there are a couple things we have to go over before we actually decorate our cupcakes. So number one is you have cake mix in your box. You will need to bake your cupcakes. There are directions on the back of the box for how to bake them, so just follow those along and you should be just fine. And if you're like, I don't have a cupcake pan, no worries at all. When I first started decorating, I didn't have any of the tools, so this is one of my favorite parts. Inside your box are cupcake liners and a cupcake pan. So if you don't have a cupcake pan, don't worry, there's one in your box. We got you, we got you. You probably will need to fill this up, bake these cupcakes, and then repeat. You'll probably have to do this twice, but it is there and you can totally use it more than once, and there are enough liners for you to do that as well. So that's super exciting. I think it's exciting. I for real didn't have any of the tools when I first started, so I love that we can send you guys stuff like this now. Like, oh, it makes my heart happy. But anyway, the next thing is you want your cupcakes at least room temperature or slightly chilled. The colder cupcakes are, the easier they are to decorate, especially if you're new to it. Just decorating colder cupcakes is easier when you first get started, but they can be room temperature. They should be just fine that way. If you are going to smooth things out, and depending on how hot your house is or wherever you're decorating, you might need to pop one in the freezer for a little bit if you're going to do some intense smoothing out. But other than that, they should be just fine. And the reason we don't want to decorate them right when they come out of the oven is because our icing will turn into a soupy goopy mess and melt all over them, which if you're going for a rainbow swamp vibe for your DIY cupcakes, you could do that. But I'm going to show you some decorated vibes today, so I'm going to make sure that mine are room temp at least. And I'm going to go over different tips and stuff with you. So the last few things, we're almost there, almost there. I know, I got to do a lot of talking first. Is you will need a pair of handy dandy scissors. This is just to cut some things open. And then I always recommend a towel, like a hand towel, a kitchen towel. It could be a paper towel. Just something we can wipe our dirty fingers on and put our open icing bags on to try and help keep our area as clean as possible as we go. And then lastly, go ahead and wash your hands super duper good. When you've done all those things, come on back to me and we'll get started. So I'm gonna go grab my cupcakes and get set up, and I'm gonna show you guys some of the things you can do with this DIY cupcake kit. There are so many options. Like, you can be as creative or as simple as you want with this one. I'm so excited. I'll be back. And we're back. So, if you did not know, DIY stands for do it yourself. So unlike most of our other kits where it is a step-by-step instruction, this one is entirely up to you how creative and freeform or intricate or not intricate that you want to be with this. You could literally just do a swirl of each color on your cupcakes and have rainbow cupcakes that way and throw sprinkles on them, or not, and it be cute. You could add rainbow stripes to all of them if you wanted and them be cute. You could make aliens, you could make monsters, you could make all different colored flowers. There's so many things you can do with DIY. And I know that sometimes that can be overwhelming, and especially if you've decorated with me before, you should know that I am a fan of all of the options. So I'm going to try really hard not to throw too many options at you today, but I would like to go over what each of your tips do before I start decorating some cupcakes. And then for my cupcakes, I'm just going to make some and then explain which tips I use to make them. But I want to show you what all these designs do, and if you would like, inside your box there's also a booklet, and that booklet has a page that says what the name of each tip is and shows a little bit of its design, but I'm going to go a little bit more in depth with it before I decorate my cupcakes today. So, first of all, we are going to start with the open star tip. So it is the circle with a bunch of little spikies. Now, on your icing bags, or your icing tubes, you have these. So these are more than the lid. This is another thing that I just think is so awesome. These are the coupler rings. So if you push this little piece out, boop, then you have a coupler ring that you can use to attach. You will need to remove the seal first, but to attach the tips onto your bag, like so. So I've got a white one here. I'm gonna use that as my example to show you all the stuff. And then sometimes with the tips, they're kind of like, no stuff. So you might need to move them around a little bit and apply a little bit of pressure just to kind of get them on there just right. But they should be on there like this, and you should be able to go like this and then not go flying across the room. Alrighty. So with this tip, if you push it right on your cupcake and squeeze, like nothing happens. So you actually want to hold it a little above. It's like you're almost touching it, but not quite. Like you're really trying to irritate someone, like, I'm not touching you, but they're like about to touch you. That's what you're trying to do your cupcakes. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, stop, and lift up. And that's how you get a classic little open star poof. And then another way that you can do it is you can add a slight wrist twist in. So when I say slight wrist, words are hard sometimes, you guys. Slight wrist twist. I mean this, not, it's more like you're flicking a wand. So I'm gonna squeeze, and then I'm gonna slightly twist my wrist, stop, and lift. That's more if you want a whipped creamy vibe going on. And then another thing you can do with it, which this does take up a lot more icing, but it is an option, is you can do the loop-de-loop. There's probably a way more technical term for it, but that is how my brain remembers it. So I'm calling it the loop-de-loop. So you hold your icing sideways, and while you're squeezing, you're drawing circles while you move your hand. So what that looks like here, you're just drawing circles. So I'm gonna squeeze, draw my circles. Ta-da! Again, that does take up a lot more icing, but it is a super cute design. Another thing you can do, which is another one that I'm sure there's a more technical term for it, but I call it the jab. So hold your icing sideways, and then while you're squeezing, act like you're poking somebody, like, hey. So poke, 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 poke. And we're gonna like this. And then another thing you can do is just hold it straight up and down, and you can make a line. Or I like to do this one on blue icing, and I like to hold it either straight up and down or sideways and make a zigzag for some waves. And we'll go over how to like add a little bit more detail to that, but that's another tip. We'll get to there. So just later we're gonna pretend this is blue. And then another thing you can do with this is make a rosette. So, I mean, you can even make a flower with it. Well, you can make multiple flowers with it, actually. But for a rosette, I'm going to talk about what's happening. You're going to make a blob, and then keep squeezing, come to the side of your blob, and then draw a circle around your blob. It's very important that you draw the circle around the blob and not on top of the blob. If you draw it on top of the blob, you're just going to get a taller, whipped creamy vibe going on versus a rosette. So, gonna go blob, come to the side, and draw a circle around my blob. If you wanted to make a flower, you could, like flower petals with this, you make a bunch of little U's, but instead of it being like a U like this, when you come to this part, connect it up. So it's almost like a teardrop shape, but it's not quite closed, but it's U. So U. It doesn't matter if you hold it straight up and down or sideways. And then you just go in a circle like that. When your icing gets hard to squeeze, twist, like push the top so you can help push things down, and then fold it. And it'll help recreate that pressure so it's a little bit easier on you. I will say doing the U's on a cupcake looks much cuter because I have a circle to follow. But you can make a bunch of U's in a circle and have a really cute flower that way. So that is the star tip. I'll hold this up for a second. And now we're going to go ahead and move on to the leaf tip since I'm talking about flowers so much. So your leaf tip is the one that looks like an alligator mouth or a V, depending on how you're looking at it. And then I'm gonna get kind of close. Yes. All right, so with this one, we do want to hold it sideways, like it is an alligator mouth that is going to throw up icing all over our cupcake. And then you can have it level like this or slightly angled. I usually do a slight angle, but either way works. We're gonna squeeze in the same spot for like 3 seconds, stop, and then pull back. So alligator mouth, 1, 2, 3, stop, and pull. And that's how you get a really fine leaf. If you keep squeezing while you pull, you'll get more of a hanging potted plant vibe, which is also cute. If you totally could make a potted plant cupcake if you wanted. So those are good things to know. You can also do the jab with it. So poke, 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 stop and pull to have more of a canopy leaf. You can also use this for flower petals. It does not just have to be on green for leaves. You could go in a circle and make it like a sunflower. It doesn't have to be yellow, that's just the first one that comes to mind, but you can use this to make flower petals too. You could even use one of these poofs. So I'm going to pretend that this is a different color, and I'm going to go in a circle around it with like a 1, 2. I personally really like to do it with the grass tip being the center. I think it looks really cute. But you could make a little flower like that. And then when you've got the sideways motion down, you can change your angle to straight up and down. It's just the same thing. 1, 2, 3, stop and lift up. If you want to have leaves going in different directions. If you don't want to use it for leaves or flower petals, you can switch it back and forth on your red, yellow, or orange and make a fire cupcake. If you have pretzels at home, you could make it a campfire cupcake. None of the tips have to be what they're originally designed for, which is one of my favorite things to do. It's like, oh, that's for grass. Well, I'm going to use it for spaghetti and monster hair, which is what we're going to talk about next. So the grass tip makes awesome grass, but it is my favorite of all of the decorating tips out there. I'm not lying, I'm not exaggerating. It really is my favorite of all of them. It is this one with all the little holes. It also looks like a thimble. And I'm going to show you what people have the tendency to do with this tip. I don't know why this one in particular. I've just seen it a lot with people. And it's something you really want to avoid. And if you don't know that you're doing it, it can be really frustrating that's not working out. So I want to show you, if this is happening to you, what's going on. So it's another one you want to hold a little above. And then squeeze in the same spot. So people, instead of stopping and lifting up to get all of these really pretty lines, they have the tendency to dip back down before they lift up, and then it gets rid of all the lines and it just makes a blob. So to avoid that, when you stop squeezing, think straight up. Try really hard not to dip back down. So you can do 1, 2, 3, stop and up. You can keep squeezing while you lift up to get some floppy vibes going on. Or you can do it spaghetti style and just squeeze, which is one of my favorite things to do. I'm definitely making a spaghetti cupcake today because they're awesome. So I usually put it on yellow and do that spaghetti style. They also make really awesome monster hair, which I might make a monster, I might not, we're gonna see. But we can go ahead and talk about our last tip, which is the round tip. It's just a circle. And this one is traditionally used for drawing, making polka dots, or writing. So I can write, hi. And then if you're making polka dots, I usually squeeze it for 1 or 1, 2. So, but I want to talk about something with it because personally for me, they drive me nuts. They don't drive everybody nuts, but for me, at least on my cakes, they bother me most of the time. So I made these little polka dots, and you see how they have these little icing tails just sticking up to where they look like extra mini Hershey Kisses. That's totally normal. The round tip does that pretty often, but if they're bothering you, don't worry, just let your icing sit for about 2 minutes, and then it will have stiffened up a little bit more from being in the air to where you can lightly, and I mean lightly, boop, 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 tap them and those little points will go away. You just need to let it sit for about 2 minutes. If you try and do it right now, your icing is still too fresh and it's gonna just keep sticking to your finger and making new points. So just let it hang out for a little bit and then you can lightly tap them and they'll make that little point go away and they'll be more of a round shape. But I will hold this up again for ya. So we have our star tip, our leaf tip, our grass tip, and our round tip. So these are just what some of them do. You can be however, I mean, you have all of these colors. I'm so excited to see what you guys do. I'm feeling the rainbow vibes today, so I'm definitely gonna do something rainbow. But I'm gonna make a couple of cupcakes, and you should have enough to do 12, so you could do like 12 entirely different designs if you wanted. Or you can do all a similar design. It's whatever feels right for you. They're your cupcakes. I want you to be happy with them, so create what's gonna make you happy. I'm just here to give you some ideas. It does not mean you have to do what I do, but I'm gonna just do 6 and I will explain what I used to create those looks. So I'm gonna decorate my cupcakes and then I'll be back. So I made a spaghetti cupcake. So how I did this is I put the grass tip on my yellow and squeezed like this, and then I put the round tip on my red, and then inside your kit box there was also rainbow sprinkles, but just because they're rainbow doesn't mean you have to use all the colors. So I picked out some white ones for Parmesan cheese, and then I took some green ones and treated it like it was the world's tiniest violin and crushed them in my fingers and then sprinkled them over the top of the cupcake to create like a parsley effect. So this is my first DIY cupcake, but here's how you could make spaghetti. And if you have extra candy at home, so like if you have any Tootsie Rolls or chocolate balls, you could also stick those in this to be meatballs if you wanted, but I think this is just fine. Spaghetti cupcakes make my heart happy, so I'm very excited about this one, and I'm gonna go ahead and do a flower for my next one. So for my second cupcake, I made a flower. So I did the 1, 2, 3 stop and lift and did like 5 or 6 of those with the grass tip in the center of my cupcake. And then I put that star tip on and I did the U shapes in a circle around it and created this flower. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on. So I mean, I gotta do something rainbow. So I'm gonna make a rainbow cupcake. Yes, when your icing matches your eyeshadow. Yeah, I love all the colors, so I had to do a rainbow. With this one, I just put the star tip on and went loo. Alrighty, so for my next DIY cupcake, I feel like I've been using the star tip too much. So I'm going to do something with, I'm gonna cover my cupcake in leaf. Ooh, I actually gotta think. I'll be back while I think. I'm going to make a potted plant that looks like it's one of those hanging plants. So the leaves are like, woo, instead of like, ooh. If you speak Chayla, high five. If not, it's okay. It takes a while. I made a hanging potted plant. So I did the leaf tip where I didn't stop squeezing when I pulled away to create the hanging leaves. Then I used the leaf tip in a circle on my purple to make the flowers. I used the round tip with some blue to put some icing in the middle of them, and then I took some yellow sprinkles and stuck them in there to be my flower centers. So here is one of my other DIY cupcakes, and I'm gonna move on to my next idea. So something that I haven't really talked about yet is that if you use your tip, so right now it's got blue in it. If I take it off and put it on another color instead of rinsing it out, for a little bit of time you will get a tie-dye vibe going on. So I'm just going to squeeze this. It won't last very long, you only get a couple, but let's wait. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And then you can put it on another color and go back and forth and create these crazy tie-dye designs. So I'm actually gonna fill my cupcake up with that, and then I'm gonna cover it in rainbow sprinkles. And then sprinkle. Sometimes you just need sprinkles. They make everything taste better, in my opinion. I like it. Yeah. It's just a multicolored sprinkle blob and I'm in love. So I just did that tie-dye method with the star tip. You can do that with any of your tips. Like how I was talking about how you could use the leaf tip for fire earlier. That would be a good way to get a two-tone fire effect going on. Just keep switching it back and forth between yellow, red, and orange, and you'll get those multicolored tones. But I felt like it was something I should tell you guys that you can do. You don't have to make a blob cupcake like I did, but it's something that you could use for design if you wanted to. And I'm gonna go ahead and do my last cupcake. I don't have to think for a second what I want to do for my last DIY one as an example to show you guys just some things you can do. His name is George. Hi everyone, I'd like you to meet my cupcake George. So let me break George down for you. The orange and yellow are the 1, 2, 3 stop and lift poofs with the grass tip. The blue part of the eyes are the star tip. The dark green, I took my my round tip that was on red and then I put it on my green and created this color to make the pupils and to draw the smile on the eyebrows, and then I put my leaf tip on the red to make his tongue. So this cupcake includes like a little bit of everything that we talked about. And you know what? I think George is feeling pretty festive. So I'm gonna give George just a little bit of sprinkles, not a lot though. I'm gonna put them by his mouth like he's been eating sprinkles. Yes. And there we go, you guys. Those are some designs you can do for the DIY. I love George. Alright, you guys, so these are just some things you can do with the DIY kit. So again, I made spaghetti, which if you need more food cupcakes in your life, we do have a food cupcake kit, by the way. And then I made tie-dye rainbow blob sprinkle happiness cupcake. And then I just made rainbow stripe cupcake, which if you need more rainbow in your life, we do have a rainbow piñata cake kit, by the way. And if you want some more DIY, we also have a happy birthday one. And then I made George, who is a little bit of everything. And if you want to make some monster cupcakes, we have a monster cake and monster cupcakes, and it comes with the gummy teeth. It's awesome. I'm a big fan of monsters. And then I made this hanging potted plant, which if you need more flowers in your life, we do have a flower cupcake kit too. But I made these two guys. So these are just some things you can do. I mean, you have so many possibilities with this kit. You could make aliens. You could just do different colored swirls and they'll be adorable. You could write on all your cupcakes if you wanted to. Like there's so many possibilities. I just wanted to give you a little bit of ideas. Like this is what I would do with the DIY kit. I think with the other 6, I definitely would make an alien and then probably D20 to be honest. And I would probably do a scarier monster and then like an ocean thing going on. But here are just some ideas. I'm so happy that you guys came today. I hope you're feeling inspired and you're excited to decorate your DIY cupcake kit. And if you would like to show us what you come up with, because again, there's so many possibilities with this. If you go to our website, which is mymakestudio.com, you can click on the Chef Chayla tab, and there'll be an option to upload your photos so I can see them, and then you'll become part of our Bakers Club and also get a certificate from me. So if you would like to share them, I really do love seeing what you guys do. I know that this one is a lot more freeform than our other kits. If you've decorated with us before, it's usually much more of a step-by-step thing. But even with the step-by-step things, you guys always put your own like personality into them, and I think that is so cool. So I am so excited to see what you guys come up with like words are hard. That's how excited I am. I'm excited to see what you guys come up with for the DIY kit, because in my world, cakes and cupcakes are just art that you can eat, and art is unique just like you are, and I'm so excited to see your beautiful creations. But if you're also like, no, these are mine. You don't have to show them to me if you don't want to. That is not part of you buying the kit. I'm still happy you came, but if you do want to share them with me, it's not a bother. I love seeing what you guys do. And again, it's just our website, mymakestudio.com, and then click on the Chef Chayla tab. And then while you're on the website, if you would like to see some of those other kits that I was talking about, we've got cakes, we've got cupcakes, we've got square cakes. This is a good place to see what all we have. We have a lot of options, you guys. And then if you would like to follow our social medias, both our Facebook and Instagram are at mymakestudio. If you didn't know, we're Colorado based, so those are good places to follow, just kind of see what's going on in our lives and new and upcoming things we've got going on. And then we also have a TikTok, which is at mymakestudio. And the TikTok is more of a little dive into my world. Like if you want to see how I colored my hair this way, or how I do my rainbow makeup, or why my dog is being silly today. Those are good places to go. So if you'd like to follow us, that's where you can. But again, thank you so much for coming today. I hope that you have fun decorating your cupcakes. And then I hope you have fun eating them, because that's like the next best part. And as always, everyone, stay creative.